If you're currently job hunting in the UK, I understand how difficult it is. You're going through a very difficult time. Now, I got a job in the UK from Nigeria 2 years ago in 2023. So I was applying for jobs. I was in Nigeria applying for jobs in the UK. I got a job, I got a sponsored visa, and I came into the UK. However, things have changed since then. And a lot of people come into my DMs. A lot of people are looking for jobs. A lot of people that before now, the advice that I used to give them should have worked, but it looks like it's no longer working. People are looking for jobs for months and for years. People who are currently working on post-study visas are worried because for the past 2 years, post-study visa is 2 years. Because you will think that because you're a graduate, in 3 months, 4, 5 months, or maximum 6 months, you should be able to get any job that you want, even if it's not your ideal job, at least a job that would keep you in this country, a job with visa sponsorship. However, that is not happening. Why? Why has things suddenly changed from a country where you could easily get jobs to a country where people are looking for jobs? Immigrants, foreign students, international students, people who came to the UK to study so that they can stay back to work for greener pastures are now suffering and are at the risk of being evacuated from the UK, or I wouldn't say deported, but are at the risk of leaving the UK without getting a job that will sponsor their visa, that will sponsor their stay. Because post-study work visa expires after 2 years and you cannot renew it, which is very sad. People who have come from outside the UK to pay international students fee, which is almost double of what national students in the UK pay. People who have sold their properties, who have made huge investments to come and study in the UK. After studies, they are looking for jobs. They are looking for jobs for years.
It's just a long string of very bad luck.
For months and for 2 years, people are not finding jobs. So what has changed from the time that I got a job in 2023 till now? Because I believe it is the change in the law that has caused people to not be able to find jobs. I am not blaming employers. I'm not blaming job hunters. To be honest, this is on the government. And which is why, because this new rule has made life very difficult for job seekers. So I'm going to go to the UK website to show you what is the current requirement to get a job in the UK, to get a skilled worker sponsored job in the UK. Now, for you to work in the UK, you need a work visa. You can either work in the UK with a graduate visa, which is a self-sponsored visa. You don't need an employer to actually apply for that visa. That means you came here to study, you have studied and you have passed your course. Then you apply for a graduate visa, which is 2 years post-study. And then you can use that graduate visa to work for 2 years. However, after 2 years, you cannot renew that visa. So for you to legitimately be in the UK after your post-study visa, you need to get a job with a proper work visa. Ideally, either the skilled worker visa or the health and care visa. For people in the healthcare sector, it might not be as difficult because your visa requirements are different. I'm going to point it out much later. But let me address people that are looking for skilled worker visa. Mind you, there are other visas in the UK that you can use to work, which is like the global talent visa, which is not dependent on employer. But trust me, the requirement for those kind of visas are very strong and not a lot of people meet those requirements. Now, for skilled worker visa, I am currently on a skilled worker visa in the UK. I got my job in Nigeria and I came here. I applied for a skilled worker visa. I got the visa and I came to the UK to work. I've been working here since 2023. This is 2025. Now, what has changed? In fact, this rule changed last year because I came into the UK to work in 2023, but my job was on 1 year fixed term. So after 1 year, I needed to apply for another visa and I needed to get another job so that I would apply for another visa. I was lucky enough to get another job. Thanks to God. Thanks be to God. He has never left me stranded. Believe in this God that I believe in. Hold him very tight if you're looking for a job, because just listen, I'm going to link a video that I shared my testimony of how I got this job. That same God is still the same today. He will never change. So stay strong in your faith. Stand strong in your faith. Do not lose your faith. Just keep praying and doing the right thing. He will come through for you. He will not leave you stranded. You have come this far. He will not leave you. Okay? Now, Because I got another job, I needed to apply for another visa, and that was the time that things were about to change. God helped me so much. I renewed my visa before the law. I renewed my visa like a month or two before this new regulation came in. Now, if you go to the UK government website, which is gov.uk, you will see like skilled worker visa requirements. Now, you will see where they say your job. Okay, let me start with maybe the overview that says a skilled worker visa allows you to come to the UK, to stay in the UK, to do an eligible job with an approved employer. This visa has replaced the Tier 2 visa. It allows you to work in UK. Now, for you to be eligible to get the skilled worker visa, to qualify for a skilled worker visa, you must work for a UK employer that's been approved by the Home Office. Now, as I'm going to be explaining, I'm going to be explaining why it is very difficult for people to get jobs now in the UK. Number one requirement is you must work for a UK employer that's been approved by the Home Office. Not all UK employers are eligible to hire foreigners. Okay, so for you to get a skilled worker visa, you must find an employer that is eligible to sponsor foreigners, that is approved by the government. Because for an employer to be approved by the government to hire foreigners, they have to register with the Home Office for a license to sponsor foreign workers. Now, when they are registering, they have to pay. So if you need license for 5 foreign workers, you have to pay for the 5 foreign workers. If you need license for 50 foreign workers, you need to pay for 50 foreign workers, which directly means that automatically, not all companies, not all businesses would want to spend their resources in hiring foreign workers. If they have workers in the UK, people that do not require visas, they would go for them. Okay, so even the companies that are authorized to sponsor foreign workers are protecting their quota. So you say probably a company has 10 quota for the year to sponsor foreign workers. They will not want to issue it out to random roles. They would guide it very, they will ensure that it is only the roles that they can absolutely not find anybody with a visa in the UK that they will sponsor. This is one of the very difficult things for employers. Not all employers have the ability to register with the UK government to be able to sponsor foreign workers, because you also have to show that for you to register with the UK government to hire foreign workers, you have to show that you've not seen anybody within the UK to give that role to. You also have to show that you are in an industry that, is relevant for the UK, so that you can hire people from abroad. You have to pay for the license. You have to register and pay for this license. And if you get skilled workers, you have to ensure that you pay per person. If you're sponsoring me as a skilled worker, you would need to pay each year to ensure that I am a legal worker in the UK. These taxes. So employers have these obligations, which is not easy. So imagine businesses, this cost of living is expensive. Things are tight for businesses. The UK economy is not booming as it used to be. Businesses are struggling. So who wants to take on additional charges just because of an employee? So businesses will either rather hire people within or use contractors, even if they're not able to hire full staff. So that's one difficulty that is causing people not to find jobs. Another requirement is that your employer has to give you a certificate of sponsorship from your employer with information about the role you've been offered in the UK. If an employer is registered with the government to sponsor foreign workers, they'll be able to give you a certificate of sponsorship. However, they have to, when they hire you, they have to apply to the UK government to issue a certificate of sponsorship for you. So if you are not given a certificate of sponsorship, they cannot sponsor you. You cannot apply for a skilled worker visa. You have to do a job that's on the list of eligible occupations. See, I understand the fact that not all businesses are qualified to sponsor foreign workers. Not all businesses are registered with the UK government as licensed employers. But the fact that it is also not all occupations that can give you a skilled worker visa, like it is not all jobs that are eligible to apply for a skilled worker visa, that's another problem. Because tell me why there's so many restrictions. We are still going on. Now, your job has to be on the list of eligible occupations. There is a list of eligible occupations for skilled worker. So just come to the UK government website and you'll see what I'm saying. For you to get a job, your employer has to be among the licensed sponsors, and then your job has to be eligible for a skilled occupation or a skilled worker visa. Your job has to be eligible skilled occupation so that you'll be able to get a skilled worker visa. Now, your job must pay you. Let's even say that you found an employer that has a license. You've now found a job that is in the eligible skilled occupation list. Another requirement, you must be paid a minimum salary. How much depends on the type of work you do and the date you got your COS. Now there is a minimum going rate. There is a going rate for each of these jobs on the skilled worker or skilled occupation list. There is a going rate. For instance, they can say for engineers, the going rate is £30,000 per year. That means you cannot earn less than that. So these are just the stumbling block, the barriers are just too much. And not a lot of people, a lot of employers can meet this. And also not a lot of job hunters can find these roles that meet everything. You know, some people get jobs, they go for interview, get jobs, and then come back and tell me, Couscous, unfortunately, they said the job is not in the eligible occupation list. Sometimes I try to tell people that, okay, can you convince them to put it in this occupation list or this occupation code? Can you, things like that. And a lot of employers are not really familiar with those skilled worker visa requirements. So once it gets complicated, they just leave it. Now, you must know your English. You must have an eligibility for English. If you studied in the UK, you probably have met your English language requirement before. You can only meet English language requirement once. So if you've met an English language requirement before, you are fine. A skilled worker visa allows you to stay in the UK for up to 5 years. After that, you can apply for an indefinite leave to remain, which allows you to live and work in the UK without an employer, sponsoring you. Now, let us go to the requirement that says your job is eligible for this visa. So it says here, you must meet all the following requirements to be eligible for a skilled worker visa. Your job is eligible for this visa. You'll be working for a UK employer that's been approved by the Home Office. I've explained all of that. You'll be paid at least the minimum salary rate for the type of work you'll be doing, which I said the going rate for your job. So it says the minimum salary for the type of work you'll be doing is whichever is the highest, not the lowest. So it says 38,700 per year, or the going rate for the type of work you'll be doing. So when they say whichever is the highest, they're saying, assuming the going rate for your job, because if you go to the skilled occupation list, you'll see your job title, you will see the going rate, and say it is £30,000. Now, and then the minimum, that means you are the job must be paying you either 38,700 per year or the going rate, whichever is higher. So if the going rate for your job is 40,000, then you must be paid at least £40,000 per year for you to get a skilled worker visa. If the going rate is below 38,700, you are not qualified. You will have to be earning at least 38,700 per year for you to be eligible, or for that job to be eligible to give you a skilled worker visa, to sponsor you a skilled worker visa. How many jobs in the UK pay 38,700 per year? You know that UK does not pay as high as other countries like maybe US, Australia, Canada. People leave the UK to other countries. I know a lot of people that we studied together with in the UK. They are now in US and Canada because greener pastures are that way. Most entry-level jobs in the UK. So now for you to see how large or how significant this difference is, I got my job January 2023 and the law changed April 2024. Before April 2024, you needed the job to have paid you at least £26,100 for you to be eligible to get a skilled worker visa. So, the UK government woke up one, this money is too small. £12,000 on top. No, not 12,000. Let 12,700 or 12,800 or 12,600 on top. Like, you just wake up and make this decision. My question to you is, what was the plan? What is the reason? Okay, you don't want immigrants. We are too many in your country. But when you were opening your doors, accepting international students' school fees, you didn't remember that you don't want your country to be overcrowded. Now, students have come, they've brought their dependents, they've spent a lot of money to study in the UK. It's time to find a job. They have carried the money on top. From 26,000, if it was even 30,000, it would make more sense. You know why? Because most entry-level jobs are grade 4 and 5. Usually, grade 4 is less than £30,000 per year. Grade 5 is from 30,000 to maybe £35,000 a year. So tell me how employers would say this person, say this role was a data analyst role, and last year in January 2023, that role was a grade 4 role, and that role was paying £27,000 a year. How will an employer change that role from a grade 4 to a grade 6 so that this role would be able to earn 28,700 at the least? Is it possible? Where would this employer get money from? Would the employer double the fees of their products or services so that they can get this money to pay these employees? What make it make sense? How is the plan? Okay, is the government giving employers tax rebates so that employers will not pay all these taxes so that they can have more money to pay their employees? Of course not. Tell me which reasonable employer will not say, role, we really want a foreigner here, but this is a grade 4 role. But because we really us in this company, we are going to change this role from grade 4 to grade 6 so that we will pay this person more than this. It will shock you that even some grade 5, grade 6 roles don't even pay up to £38,700. So it is a very dicey situation. It is very difficult for employers. It's not like I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of employers. It's not their fault. Of course, they have to protect their resources. They cannot spend all the company turnover on staff salary. So if a role was grade 4 or grade 5, and maybe foreigners were there, and maybe you started working there on a skilled worker visa, okay, for those that started working on the role, it will not affect them. Because whenever the new law comes in, it affects people that starts as, once the new law comes into effect. So, people like us who started working before the new law comes in, it didn't affect us. Now, say you are working with this employer, say you finish school in 2023, and your employer said, I will gladly sponsor your visa. But because you already have a post-study work visa, come and work with us. Once the visa is about to expire, we will renew your visa we will give you a skilled worker visa. And say this role was grade 4 or grade 5, £30,000 per year. That's why it is very difficult for you to get a job right now. That is why. I'm just thanking God that I came in here before that rule, that law. Now, this does not apply to healthcare people. And also there are exceptions. I'm going to read out the exceptions. But does it make sense? Can you see why it is very difficult for employers and also job seekers to, get the jobs that they're looking for? So even employers are struggling to hire capable hands because the people that they can hire, they cannot pay them. They cannot afford to pay them. So in fact, it's just difficult. It's a difficult situation for both employers and job seekers. So that's one of the reasons, because there's so many rules to getting a skilled worker visa. The job has to first be in the skilled occupation list. It has to be the going rate. And then if the going rate is lower than 30,000, no, we're not taking that. It has to be at least 38,700. And if the going rate is more than 38,700 and they're paying you 38,700, you still don't qualify. You have to be paid the going rate. Why? So let me read the salary requirements. It says you'll usually need to be paid the standard salary rate of at least 38,700 per year or the going rate for your job, whichever is higher. Example, your salary, I'm from the UK government website, gov.uk, under skilled worker visa. So it says your salary is, for example, your salary is 39,000 per year, but the annual going rate for the job you will be doing is 45,000 per year. You do not meet the usual salary requirement for this visa. Hey, why? Why is the world so wicked? To be honest, it's just a very difficult situation. I understand the fact that maybe UK is trying to control its population, but I think this is really harsh on immigrants. Now, it says there are different salary rules if you work in some healthcare or education job, where the going rate is based on national pay scales. I'm going to read that later. But then there's an exception that says when you can be paid less. It says if you do not meet the usual salary requirements and you do not work in healthcare or education, you might still be eligible if your salary will be at least 30,960 per year. So let's check when you can be paid less. So it says you might still be able to apply for a skilled worker visa if your job is eligible, but your salary is less than the standard salary requirement of 38,700 or your job standard going rate. You can be paid between 70% and 90% of the standard going rate for your job if your salary is at least 30,960 per year and you meet one of the following criteria. That means you cannot get any job that is less than grade 5. Yes, because it's from grade 5 that you even think of getting 30k per year. Not just 30k that, you still have requirements. You can earn, if your job is at least 30,960, you can get 70%, you can get 70% or 90% of the standard going rate. If you are under 26 years, studying or a recent graduate or in a professional training. So it's not either or. You must be under 26 years, studying or a recent graduate or in professional training. That means you are less than 26 years old and you just finished school, or you are studying, you're a recent graduate, or you are doing a professional training. You must meet all those requirements for you to apply for this exception, or for this exception to apply to you. Another option is you have a science, technology, engineering, or maths, that STEM PhD level qualification that's relevant to your job. If you have a relevant PhD level qualification in any other subject, your salary must be at least 26,100. So that means they're saying if you have a PhD that's relevant to your job and your job is in the STEM area, then you can they can pay you 70% or 90% of the going rate. But if you are not in a STEM area and you have a PhD, if your PhD is not in a STEM related field, your job has to pay at least 26,100. Why will you even say that? You should be collecting a job that is paying them 26,100. I'm angry. Because why will I do PhD and then come and be earning 26k? God forbid. Even 30k for a PhD is very small. But that's the requirement. Do you see how unlikely these people want to make it? Because they are saying that for you to qualify for this exception, you have a PhD in a field and you accept either 30k or 26,100. Why will a PhD person accept that kind of role? Are you just trying to make it impossible? It's like trying to make a horse pass through the eye of a needle at this point. So there's another one. It says you have a postdoctoral position in science or higher education. So if you have a postdoctoral position in science or higher education, you can be paid 70% or 90% of the standard going rate for your job. So it's not just 70% or 80% of anything. It has to be, if the standard going rate is 40,000, they have to pay you at least 70% to 90% of the standard going rate. So come to the website and say, these are the difficulties. This is why it is just so difficult to get a job now. I'm praying for all of you that are job hunting. God will make a way for you. I recently coached somebody who was in Nigeria and who still got a job, a skilled worker visa job, and is currently in the UK. I've coached a lot of people like that. So yes, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. This video is not to discourage you, but it is to encourage you and to also show you why you are facing the challenges you're facing. And, so that you understand, you are not being, it's not like the employers don't like you. It's not like you're not applying for the right jobs. It's just the tight situation that employers are in right now. Okay. So so for healthcare or education people, if you are in healthcare or you're applying for a healthcare job, it's different, which is why I'm saying people in healthcare have it easier than people that are not in healthcare. So it says, if you work in healthcare or education, there are different salary rules. If you work in some healthcare or education jobs, your salary must be at least 23,200 or more if your job's going rate is higher. The going rates for these jobs are based on a national pay scale set by the relevant independent body, for example, NHS. So it says here, the national pay scale, if your job is on the list, your salary must be at least the national pay scale for the job you'll be doing. These going rates apply whether you'll be working in public or private sector. So let's say the kind of jobs. There's a long list of jobs in healthcare and education. So that's it, guys. I made this video to help enlighten you, especially if you find out that people that graduated 2 years ago, 3 years ago, got jobs easier than people that are graduating between 2023 and 2024. Because a lot of people that graduated between 2023 and 2024 are working with their graduate visas and are worried because they are not able to switch from graduate visa to skilled worker visa. But it might be difficult. It is not impossible. Okay. People are still getting jobs. People are still doing it. Check around this channel. Once you are very good at an interview and an employer has a license to sponsor you and the job meets all the requirements in the skilled worker visa list, skilled worker occupation list, they would give you the visa. But you have to perform exceptionally well. So if you're currently job hunting, make sure you watch all my videos under the playlist Working in the UK, so that you can learn about how to apply for jobs, how to curate a perfect CV, how to write your cover letter, what to do at interview, how to pass your interview, because this still works. Between last year that people, in fact, I'll put screenshots here of people that I coached that got jobs. Okay. If you're also confused or finding it difficult to make, if you doubt how strong your application is, you can reach out to me to book a paid consultation and we can guide you and review your application or, prep you for interviews. Okay. If you have interviews, you're already on the right track because it means you're doing something right. Once you get an interview, you're doing something right. Okay. Let me know if this video was helpful. Share it, drop a comment. What do you think? What are your experiences? What's your opinion? Did you recently get a job? What did you do that can help another person? What jobs do you think are available? And if you can switch to healthcare, please do. Okay, the quicker the better. Don't wait until your graduate visa is about to expire before you start job hunting and trying to switch to a career that can give you a work visa. I wish you guys all the best. So make sure I'm going to link all the relevant career related job application videos in the description box so that you can watch. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what other video you would like to see, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.